How's it going, Green Gang? We're back at it with the amendment of the week, and in this week's episode, we're going to talk about insect frass. Now, insect frass is much like a worm casting or another type of compost, but it has unique properties to it because it's all processed by insects, mostly crickets, mealworms, or black soldier flies. And insect frass can do tons of stuff to help us build soil and promote plant health across the board. And it's also really great as a food stock for a worm bin. So if you're having a decent vermiculture setup and you want to add a little bit of extra something to your worm bin, insect frass is great for the worm bin, and it helps break it down even a little further before it makes it to your plants. But before we get too far into the weeds into insect frass and how it helps build soil, I need to talk about how I got bailed out of trim jail from Trim Bag. Now, Trim Bag is an awesome product that can help you, trim all your products in a very timely fashion. I have a little bit larger garden than most, but even if you have a 2x2 or a 4x4 setup, this is going to save you hours of trimming. Like if you got stuck in trim jail and you're like Bubbles and you don't want to trim, you like to smoke it and grow it, but you don't like harvesting.
Yeah, I fucking hate harvesting. I like planting the things and watering them and looking after them, talking to them. I don't like fucking harvesting.
You like smoking them, don't you?
I like smoking them.
This is the product for you. It will be able to cut down your trim time massively. I go from having to spend hours on my trimming all the way down to having maybe 30, 40 minutes to trim all of my product. And like I said, it works really, really well. You may have to trim off a little couple extra leaves here and there, but especially for the home grower that you're not trying to be market grade ready off rip, this is an extremely great product for the home grower and cuts down tons on the trim jail. So make sure you check out Trim Bag down in the description below and use code GG510. Now let's get back into insect frass and how it promotes soil building and plant health. Now, usually the first question I ask myself when dealing with an amendment is, how is this amendment sourced and does it meet the permaculture ethos of trying to close waste streams and use everything you got on your land to produce food and or medicines. So the big thing is a lot of waste streams do get diverted from insect farming. Now, insect farming is mostly done for the proteins that the insects can provide, the proteins and the fats and the calcium that it can provide to animals like chickens, reptiles, small pigs. So they're farmed for making animal feed mostly. But the byproduct, which is a pretty small byproduct when it comes to composting, usually you get a decent amount of mass left over from composting. When you use insects to break down all this matter, you get much less mass left over. But that mass that's left over is extremely rich in chitin, and it's also rich in macro and micronutrients. So what's really great about insect frass is that it does divert tons and tons of stuff from going to the landfill. It also creates a great byproduct for growing and keeping your soil built up by adding tons of carbon. It has a lot of carbon and organic matter in insect frass. So adding that carbon and a little bit of the biology and the micro and macronutrients together creates a really great microbiology food that will feed your soil really well. Now, what a lot of people look into when they hear about insect frass off rip is they hear that it has the high levels of chitin in it. Now, chitin is really great for tricking the plant into thinking there's a pest or disease pressure happening, and therefore it activates its own self-defense systems to grow faster, to try to outgrow its competition or pathogen or pest. And it also tricks the plant into making its own enzymes, in which can help fight off pests and disease vectors. Now, insect frass also has a really great water holding capacity and helps build structure in the soil. Insect Frass contains mostly organic nitrogen and not nitrogen in the nitrate state, which is really great for being able to top dress and use an Insect Frass throughout the entire season without the fear of unintentional crop steering. Now, what's crazy about Insect Frass is that while having all these really great benefits for the garden and the soil and the plants, it, like I said, it's taking tons and tons of things away from going to the landfill. And the reason why it's taking away so many things from going to the landfill is because insect frass, insects, and especially black soldier flies, can chow through tons and tons of material that even the worm bins, you can't compost that material in worm bins. It takes a long time to compost in regular compost piles, but you throw it in with the black soldier flies and they'll eat that up in 24 hours. You can take entire fish and put them in a large colony of black soldier flies and they'll completely decimate the entire fish in 24 hours, leaving only bones behind. Now, what's also cool about that is that you can use the black soldier flies to clean up butchered animals or leftover parts from butchered animals if you do actually run a farm. And that way it'll keep a lot of the smell down, and it will also be able to provide you with yet another amendment if you take the bones out that the black soldier fly cannot process. You take those bones out and you bake them, and you can make them into a water-soluble calcium phosphate, much like the KNF and Jadam teachings, a lot of the natural farming teachings provide. So insect frass, and especially black soldier fly, closes the loop in a massive way by being able to take all food wastes, including meats. You mostly don't want to use a whole lot of citrus, but other than that, it can take anything into a black soldier fly colony and break it down even further. And then you can take the leftovers and, like I said earlier, feed that to a worm bin, and you'll have really, really great chitin-rich worm castings that come along with all the great stuff that worms do and all the great stuff that insects do to break down different organic matters into plant-available forms. Thanks for checking out the video, Green Gang. I hope you learned a little something about insect frass and how it's really great to build soils and promote plant growth. And I hope you check out the trim bag, save yourself a little bit of money using code GG510, and save yourself a little bit of time on that trim jail. Bail yourself out of trim jail with the trim bag. And we'll see you on the next one, Green Gang. Later.